Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Indie Zone. My name is Kathy. Today is May 1st, 2025. Just 89 days remain between now and Voir Dire, which is the process of jury selection in Idaho versus Kohberger. Almost 2.5 years have passed since the time of Mr. Kohberger's arrest back on December 30th, 2022 in Monroe County, Pennsylvania, where he was at the time. He's been charged with 5 very serious felonies in this capital case, where every single one of his challenges to the DP, the ultimate sentence, has been denied. Mr. Kohberger has filed a number of motions to strike the DP to get it off the table in the event of a guilty conviction. All have failed. Back in the fall of 2024, he filed multiple motions. They were denied. He filed a motion to strike the DP in 2025 based on his recent diagnosis of autism. That was denied. And he has filed a motion to strike the DP on the grounds of discovery violations, misconduct, due process violations. That was just denied. What still needs to happen in the next 89 days? To answer that question, we must look at 2 documents. First, the case summary page, maintained by the clerk of court to document all the key events in the case, and then also the October 9th, 2024 pretrial and trial order that was rendered by Judge Stephen J. Hippler that set the date for trial and everything that needs to happen in order to prepare the matter for trial during the pretrial phase, which the case is still in right now. If we look at pages 90 and 91 of the case summary page, and you can find it by going to any search engine of your choice, plugging in the term Idaho cases of interest, going down to Idaho versus Kohberger, you will see links there to the case summary page and also to the docket to read the October 9th, 2024 pretrial and trial order. But if we first look at page 90 of 91 of the case summary page and go down towards the bottom, we can see the final pretrial conference that is scheduled to occur at 9:00 a.m. This is actually the potential for a 2-day event. We're going to look at that in a little bit more detail when we review order of October 9th, 2024. We then see June 2nd, 2025 canceled. This is when the jury trial was scheduled to commence prior to change of venue. This is canceled. It is vacated because the case was moved from Latah County, which is where the crimes occurred, to Ada County on motion which was granted in September of 2024. This was Mr. Kohberger's motion for change of venue that he filed in January of 2024. It was changed to Ada County, and Judge Stephen J. Hippler became the presiding jurist and has been the presiding jurist ever since. The next item that we see is a big question. I noted this item, July 21st, 2025, hearing scheduled 9:00 a.m., Judicial Officer Stephen Hippler. So this is not something that was scheduled while the matter was in Latah County that's been canceled and vacated. This is something that was scheduled at some point to which there is no hearing notice, to which there is no request for a hearing, to which there is no order setting a hearing for July 21st, 2025. It is not on the pretrial and trial order. It is, and it remains, a mystery it appears to be somehow related to trial, because Voir Dire is just 9 days later, scheduled on July 30th, 2025. And we could see it here noted on page 91 of the case summary page, as well as the trial. Let's turn now to the pretrial and trial order to go over the remaining things that we are aware of. We know that, number one, jury questionnaires will be administered. We don't know when, and we don't know what those jury questionnaires consist of because they are under seal. Voir Dire, as we've stated, shall commence on July 30th, 2025 at 9. Jury trial is bifurcated. What this means is that the period of time that you see here, August 11th through November 7th, 2025, inclusive of the penalty phase, if necessary, contemplates 2 trials, if necessary. First, the case in chief. August 11th, 2025 will begin the process of the state of Idaho's case in chief, also known as the guilt phase, also known as phase 1 portion of the trial. And that is where the state of Idaho will then attempt to convince that future jury that Mr. Kohberger is guilty of the 5 felonies that he is charged with in this capital case. It says here, inclusive of the penalty phase, if necessary, if there is a return of not guilty, everything ends, double jeopardy attaches, and Mr. Kohberger cannot ever be charged with these same state charges again. If, however, he is convicted and that jury returns a verdict of guilty, then matters move into the penalty phase, and this is where sentencing would come into play. What should his sentence be if he is convicted? On the table is the DP. Every one of Mr. Kohberger's efforts to strike the DP from this case in the event of a possible conviction have been denied. Seems more likely than not that when this trial starts, that the DP will be on the table, barring anything happening within the next 89 days to the contrary. According to this document, as we've said, there's a final pretrial conference that will be held on May 15th at 9 o'clock a.m. and continue on to May 16th if necessary. This has the potential, as we've said, to be a 2-day event. What can we expect? What generally would be discussed at a final pretrial conference? Anything that could obviate the need for a trial and anything that requires the trial to proceed on track. As to the former, usually what happens then is that the court will make inquiries as to any plea negotiations, any potential that there would not be a trial because the parties might be in process of negotiating a plea deal. As to the latter, anything that would prevent the case from commencing according to this schedule. Is there any event, anything in the world that the court needs to know that would prevent the case from commencing according to the schedule, such as, is there discovery that's outstanding? Is there a motion to compel discovery that needs to be entertained? Is there something out there that still needs to happen before this trial can continue? Now, as to a potential issue, is the day before May 14th, Mr. Kohberger has been ordered to present his offers of proof as to any potential alternate perpetrators. If he is able to point to any other person in the world or persons who he believes is responsible for these crimes, he must offer competent evidence on that date, the 14th of May 2025. Name who those people are, and that's an event that will be, according to Judge Hippler, discussed at or near at about this pretrial conference. The only other thing that we are aware of that still needs to happen according to this trial and pretrial order, rebuttal penalty phase experts were due April 28th, 2025. These are the state of Idaho's rebuttal penalty phase experts to the defendant's penalty phase experts that were disclosed according to the schedule March 31st, 2025. There was a recent motion seeking an enlargement, an extension of time for the state of Idaho to disclose their penalty phase expert witnesses. It appears that Judge Hippler has granted that motion, so therefore that is the only thing that we are aware of that still needs to be accomplished other than what we've discussed in this presentation. There may be other things that will be scheduled in the next 89 days or could be scheduled that could lead to additional hearings, additional filings. We're going to continue to monitor the situation as this matter speeds toward trial, and if and when any further developments occur, we will advise you. If you have any comments, any questions, any feedback, please leave them here. This is Kathy. Thanks for joining us here today.